So the first goal around jobs is that no one who doesn't want to needs to leave the community to go to work. And the second important goal is that one doesn't need to work more than 4 hours a day with a focus on income. And this ties into one of the most important things, which is freedom around time. Now, certainly anyone who wants to invest more time at their job is free to do so. But if you look at the way a typical cult member of America spends their time, they spend a tremendous amount of time in education, learning things that they don't enjoy in a school environment they don't enjoy, so that they can prepare for a job that they largely don't enjoy. 70% of Americans don't like their jobs. And they then spend a majority of their time driving to work, which most people don't enjoy, polluting the environment, which is not good for anyone, and so that they can then work 8 to 12 hours a day doing a job and come home exhausted after commuting, etc., and then are set into an addictive loop where they basically dissociate from their family. Well, this is not a difficult act to improve on. First of all, deleting the commute. Secondly, focusing on jobs that we're good at and love doing. Thirdly, decreasing the cost of living substantially so that the job does not have to be what pays the best. Because it's important to know that, on the bell curve of, hang on a minute. Well, I guess we can't edit this. Okay, finally. On the bell curve of payment, where you have the highest paying jobs up here and you have the lowest paying jobs down here, this does not correlate to what a culture needs the most. It correlates to what a culture thinks they want the most. And it's mature industries. So, for example, in the American cult, it would be banking, highly irrelevant for the species at this point in time. It would be insurance executives. It would be lawyers. It would be arguably the case that the culture would be better off if the entire legal system were abolished and replaced with empathic mediation with competent people to do in a matter of hours for a few $100s what is being done with sociopathic and often incompetent people over the course of 1 to 3 years at the cost of hundreds of thousands of dollars. But these inefficient and often outdated mature industries get the highest salaries. Artists, highly important and relevant for living culture, and many other things. Mothering doesn't even get paid, one of the most important skills available. So there is no connection between value to the species and the mature industries that get the most money. And yet, the drive to get into a mature industry that's often on its way to dying out is because of the high cost of living and the high rank. when you derank money and focus on metrics of well-being, which I think is a very important standard. Because if you create a vertical metric that says up here are people in the community that are generating sustainable well-being for themselves and those around them, in emotionally, mentally, physically, up here. And that's what we pay attention to. We're not paying attention to who has the most money or who's making the most money per hour. Now, you have to get above survival and security before that pivot from survival and security is relevant. And that's why another goal is, I think on average it's reasonable and relatively easy to see that everyone makes at least $25 an hour. However, with the buy-in protocol being, such that once somebody buys into the community, that with the ability to grow healthy local organic food on the community, the ability to walk to work and not need a car, which can be up to a third of an American cult member's monthly expenses is cars and gas and related repairs and insurance. To be able to take that off the table, to take a mortgage off the table, and be able to still and to have your expenses fully paid for, the infrastructure investments in kind of the land, provides an opportunity for people to contribute real value based on felt experiential impact. Because while musicians in a sociopathic and chauvinistic cult do not get paid well by and large, they bring a tremendous amount of joy, which is the schizophrenia of the cult. Because while everyone in the cult is supposedly working to be happier, they're not actually spending their money based on what makes them happy. If you think of how happy many people are about their house that they're spending maybe 90% of their money on, it's not generating 90% happiness. They're in many cases depressed, etc., but they've still got to do that because home prices are so expensive. So the goal is to organize work around felt experiential impact and make it such that you can work 4 hours a day. So let's say that's $100 a day. So let's say $2,200 a month income for working 22 days of the month, 4 hours a day. Well, the really important breakthrough is the amount of quality time in play, in fun, in well-being spent with others. It is profoundly transformational to one's relationships to see someone and have 3 hours to have an interesting conversation. Not, don't talk to me, I'm tired. That's the real pivot. And when you have 100 people creating abundances of quality time, it's just tremendously liberating. So having an extra 4 hours a day to invest in your personal well-being, having an extra 4 hours a day to invest in the community is the freedom that comes from only needing to spend 4 hours a day at work with your housing, with your food, to a large extent with your vehicle covered. And now you can invest that $2,200 a month, in gifts, in investments, and in things that really matter to you and matter to the community.